Hello and welcome to the BIBA Pod. This podcast is where current insurance industry challenges are discussed ahead of BIBA Conference 2024. The conference theme is What's Next? And in this series, we'll be interviewing insurance professionals shaping our future as an industry. Hello, Aaron. Welcome to this episode of BIBA Pod. We're talking about what's next for the high net worth arena. So I'm really grateful to have you here. I find this a really fascinating subject, and I wonder if we can start with a little bit of an introduction into who Aaron Woodhams is and what your role is.
Yeah, sure. My name's Aaron Woodhams. I'm the Chief Underwriting Officer of iprism Underwriting. I oversee the day-to-day running of the underwriting side of iprism from all lines of business and work with all our insurer partners. And that's pretty much it.
Fabulous. And how long have you been at iprism?
4.5 years, and a good 4.5 years.
Excellent. Okay, so Aaron, high net worth
Yes.
And mid net worth is an arena that is changing because of the kind of fluctuations in market conditions, manufacturing costs, etc. And underinsurance is a topic that we hear a lot about. What can brokers do to help avoid the risk of underinsurance, and what are the key things they should be thinking about and asking their clients regularly?
Yeah, sure. So this is an industry problem. It's not just iprism. The whole market's been suffering over the last few years. Obviously, as you can appreciate, we've had indexation at an all-time high. Some months, sort of 16 to 18%, which, as you can imagine, a building sums insured could quite easily fall into underinsurance. What we do is work with brokers who understand the client's needs. So we tend to work with brokers, high net worth brokers. They're aware and understand of the underinsurance in the current markets, and they will do a full fact find. What we do encourage all the time as well, where before originally you'd say get a valuation on your property every 3 to 5 years, that, as you can imagine, with indexation at 18% at all-time high, probably is not adequate enough. So what we are suggesting is a more recent survey, say maybe 1 to 3 years, and that hopefully will capture and try and avoid that underinsurance, because ultimately we want the right outcome for the policyholder in the event of a claim. The last thing we need is obviously underinsurance and application of average being applied where possibly it can be applied. But that's the only way you can really sort of combat. Fully understand, underinsurance is definitely a market problem at the moment. But getting them valuations is so vital, and they're not too expensive. So you can start with a straightforward desktop valuation, really from £150 to sort of up to £1,000 for a full surveyor coming in and doing a full valuation. So the prices can vary from a desktop to a full site visit. But I think it'd be the best bit of money you've ever spent as from a broker advising the clients, to really stress that the importance of claims inflation due to materials. We had COVID, we've had the wars going on. We've got exchange rates going all over the place. A lot of these things are imported, and the cost factors have just gone through the roof. So, the only thing I can suggest is keep them valuations coming in.
What does that apply to, or I presume it does apply to collections as well? So you're mentioning about building sums insured and things like that, but what about those people with the handbag collections and the art collections and the diamonds and the jewellery? How often should you be getting those kind of things evaluated?
Yeah, and again, we normally say 3 to 5 years get a valuation, but of course, with things like handbag collectibles is a real good example actually. As obviously COVID hit, a lot of these things stopped being manufactured, and of course then you got the price hikes of high-end handbags, jewelry, etc. So what we would say is definitely with any sort of kinds of jewelry, get it valued on a more regular basis and get it endorsed onto the policy. That is the best way to make sure that the coverage is there. If you can get that, although our policy have limits where it doesn't need to be endorsed, it doesn't hurt to have that endorsed onto the policy. So get it valued every 1 to 3 years for jewelry, because again, the price of gold has gone through the roof over the last few years. Handbags, the high-end handbags and collectibles have gone through the roof. Because obviously, when COVID hit, everything was stopped being manufactured. So we couldn't import, and all of a sudden these things just go through the roof in pricing. So get things valued, get them endorsed. If there's a loss, you get the right outcome.
Is 1 to 3 years enough for things like jewellery? I mean, I don't know, but I hear all the time about diamonds changing on a kind of monthly basis, platinum going up, gold going down or up or whatever.
Yeah, I think realistically, it'd be very hard for an insurer to decline a claim if it was done every 1 to 3 years, because morally the policyholder's doing the right thing. If they didn't have nothing valid for 10 years, you could state and argue that there could be problems. But if morally the policyholder's doing the right thing, it'd be very hard for an insurer to decline a claim. So, yeah, these things cost money as well, and all our lifestyles got busy. So, to get a policyholder to go and do a valuation every year would be pretty much impossible. But every sort of 1 to 3 years wouldn't hurt. And I think, definitely from our side of things, we work with insurers, and we also work with claims handlers who specialise in that market. If you produce, I've never had a claim declined where with a valuation in the last 3 years saying it's underinsured. So I think that's a good benchmark for the people and the insurers we work with and the claims handlers we work with as well. So I think morally, if the policyholder is doing the right thing, it'd be hard to decline a claim.
So we talk a lot about underinsurance. Is there a conversation to be had about overinsurance, particularly when you're talking about collector's items or jewellery? That I'm thinking about lab diamonds specifically.
Yeah, so lab diamonds is a funny one. It's a difficult conversation sometimes to have with people, not policyholders, but with people generally in the market. Obviously, as you can imagine, a true diamond, takes millions of years to develop. So the cost factors to get diamonds out of the ground, is an enormous cost factor. Hence why you can see why they hold their value. Now, lab diamonds can be developed anything from weeks to months, and you've got a diamond. And it's very hard as well sometimes to tell the difference between a real diamond and a lab diamond unless you're an absolute or specialist in that market. Again, what I would say is, all the time you've got them valuations, the idea of an insurance policy is to put the policyholder in the position for the loss. So for me, as long as you've got them valuations, as long as you've got the receipts as well, I can't foresee an insurance company not paying out because of the devalue of the lab diamond. Definitely if you've got the receipt, because the idea is to put that policyholder in the position for the loss. So, yeah, there is rumours. I mean, you read things in the press that these lab diamonds are devaluing from 10%, 20%, 30%. We don't really come across them sort of issues because we just it's still quite a new thing, really, I suppose. But we probably, the stuff we see, we don't insure the heavy end, that ultra high net worth where there's high value, high end valuables. But yeah, it's definitely market conversations, that's for sure. There's definitely a lot of noises in the market.
One of the things that I'm always astounded by, and I find really interesting, is the type of collections that are sort of the modern collector is collecting, I suppose. So it's everything from trainers to handbags to Super Mario games and things like that. What's the kind of what have you come across in your line of work that is different or interesting or made you go, whoa, who collects that?
Yeah, sure. So obviously I've been in the industry for quite a few years. So I suppose in my sort of lifetime within the insurance, I've seen some weird and wonderful things. Yeah, I mean, we see even in our space at the moment where we may have collectibles of £200,000-300,000 for trainers or something. Or I know one of my previous roles, we saw a collection of just over £1 million worth of slippers, believe it or not, where they've never been worn, just collectible slippers. So we do see lots of weird and wonderfuls, definitely. Handbags is quite common, to be honest.
I'm just going to ask you about that. £1 million worth of
slippers, correct? Yeah.
As in the things you wear on your feet at night time.
Yeah, these have probably never ever been worn, but we do see a lot of weird and wonderfuls. But things like handbags and collectible handbags seem to be quite common now. So I don't know whether you've got a collectible set of handbags of high value. I don't know, but that does seem to be quite common. So yeah.
My biggest collectible is probably my Harry Potter Lego.
Might be worth millions. Get it insured.
I'm guessing it's probably not. One of the things that I find really interesting, and this goes up there with the slippers, which I've never heard before, is that people have their collectibles that they keep in cases in the house somewhere, and then they have their fake handbags that they wear out.
I can't comment on that one. I haven't got a clue. But it doesn't surprise.
Why would
It
people
doesn't
do
surprise
that?
me. Yeah, I do know. Even my own wife, she's got handbags what have been in the box and never left the box. So that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I think it's fascinating to watch how the modern era is changing and what is of value or interest to different generations. It's fabulous. Talk to me a little bit about BIBA, because you guys are a new scheme provider for high value home insurance. Talk to me a little bit about the conference, what your key themes are, and what kind of conversations you're hoping to have at conference.
Yeah, so we've been at BIBA for several years now. This year is going to be our biggest year ever, and we've got a large stand there. We've got a team of about 8 or 10 people going onto the stand, all specialists in their own division. So we've got some guys from the commercial side, we've got the guys from the personal line side, the high net worth guys are going to be there. So as a rule, we've got a big team going up there. So these are underwriters or team underwriters, in terms of managing the teams. And they come with a great skill set, with a lot of market experience, a lot of years of experience. They're going to be on hand to speak to the brokers if the brokers got any queries, or meet some, I suppose, old acquaintances, meet some new brokers we work with. For us, BIBA is and that partnership with us and BIBA to be that high net worth provider is a big thing for us, and we're really proud to be part of that. And I will stress, definitely from a underwriting side of things, we're definitely not the cheapest out there, but what we are consistent in what we do. And the reason why we like to be consistent is we always like to have capacity to provide terms to them brokers with their policyholders. We're not the cheapest. We do try to strive, and we're always evolving with changing exposures to get the right policy with the right coverage for them brokers, so they can support their broker networks. But ultimately for us, it's about longevity, sustainability, and keep being there for them brokers to support their policyholders. We try to make sure our pricing, in fairness, Sarah, is always about right. So we don't like to have the big hikes, big rate increases. So we're always monitoring our exposures, our losses, try to spot any trends, and that's pretty much where we are in the market. But for us, BIBA this year is a big thing. We've got a big stand. As always, we've got some great giveaways, because everyone loves a giveaway. So brokers, please pop along and see us. But from my aspect, I'm going to be around on the stand throughout the course of the couple of days. But the team that are going to be there are very highly experienced underwriters, and we're going to have a great presence there.
I'm really looking forward to BIBA, and no doubt I'll see you as I wander around in my capacity of roving reporter and come and have a chat with you guys. So you've mentioned in this podcast and in our previous conversations the level of expertise within iprism in the different subject areas is very high. You have a lot of information and expertise out there that support the work that you do in terms of valuations and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Who do you want to speak to? Who is it at BIBA that you want to come to the stand, and what kind of conversations are you going to be able to support with?
So I'm going to be floating around on the stand. So I can talk to people and different people around, surveyors, people do valuations, that sort of thing. So I'm going to be there for that sort of things. But our underwriters are going to be there, and they're going to want to speak to brokers who specialise in that area, or maybe brokers who have queries or not too sure about policy coverage, or anything and everything really. Anything to do with underwriting. We've got a strong team up there, what are really skilled in their marketplace. So the brokers, we do have a lot of brokers, and obviously BIBA, partnering with BIBA to be your preferred choice and support them broker networks for us is amazing. So I want them brokers to come along and introduce themselves to us, because obviously there's a lot of people we already deal with in terms of the broker networks regardless, but there's also a lot of brokers we haven't dealt with in the past. And now that we're part of that BIBA network, come along and see our underwriters, because they're a great team and they know their stuff. So come along.
Do you want me to bring my Harry Potter Lego for you to value?
By all means.
Thanks. Aaron, I find the high net worth area really fascinating. I really do. So I will look forward to coming and having a chat with you guys and the experts and probably on camera. But I recommend anybody who's going to BIBA in this space to go and have a chat with Aaron and his team. Anything else you'd like to add? Any kind of top 3 bits of advice that you have for brokers supporting clients in the high and mid net worth arena?
Definitely with the brokers. I can't stress enough to get them to do a full fact find for their policyholders. Like I said, ultimately, we always want the right outcome for the policyholder when a loss does happen. So the better job they do in that fact find, making sure the building's been recently surveyed. Because obviously, building costs have gone up, inflation, indexation, all these sorts of things. There's a lot of properties out there now that fall away from the actual true sums insured. In actual fact, to give you some stats, an idea, they say anything between 70 to 85% of properties are probably underinsured. So that gives you a bit of the scale of underinsurance. And again, with the valuables, get them valued. Like I said, 1 to 3 years, I think is more than adequate. If there was a loss, I can't foresee an insurance company not paying a claim if they've morally done the right thing. But that's the one key priority for brokers to take away. 2, definitely with the brokers, is if they've as a takeaway, is to maybe get a bit of understanding of iprism and where we sit in the market and what we do, and maybe understand our policy wordings and our coverage. We've got a great product. We work with great insurers. So yes, definitely maybe looking a bit more into iprism. And number 3, ideally, I would say, I can't stress enough to the brokers, we're not going to be the cheapest, but we've been here for the longest, and the longevity for us is key. Sustainability, we're not going to have heavy rate increases and hikes. We really concentrate on our pricing. We're here for the long term, so we're not going to be the cheapest, but we're going to be there to support you all the time.
I really enjoyed that, Aaron. I feel like I learn a lot from every podcast I do, and this one's no exception.
Yeah.
And I shall look forward to seeing you at BIBA. Thank you very much for your time.
Great stuff. No, thank you very much. And see you at BIBA.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to hear more, please click on the subscribe button on your chosen streaming platform and follow us on our socials, including YouTube. We hope to see you at conference in Manchester on the 15th and 16th of May. If you have any questions at all, you can find out where to contact us on BIBA Conference at bibaconference.org.uk/contact.